Nigerian Army has removed a defense journalist, Äþ⁰Ñš, from its Department of Public Relations WhatsApp group after the journalist asked questions about 2.6 trillion naira military spending on arms. Uyi, also the Abuja chief of News Central TV, was excommunicated by the army on Wednesday, a day after the chief of the army staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, at the quarterly conference in Abuja, admitted that the military was short of logistics supply for the Boko Haram insurgency war. The journalist on the army's DPR platform had requested to know how 2.6 trillion naira, which was the total military budget from 2015 to 2019 under the former service chiefs, was spent, a large chunk of which came to the army's coffers. The inquiry had been directed to the Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Mohammed Yerima. But instead of replying to the journalist's question, overzealous and power-drunk army personnel removed him from the WhatsApp group and no answer was supplied to the question. The Chief of Army Staff Conference has posed many questions that need answers. The Chief of Army Staff says he will address logistics challenges. This is shocking because about 2.6 trillion naira has been spent between 2015 and 2019. We want to know what he meant by this statement, Uyi had asked on the Army WhatsApp group. He also said he had given the directive that more weapons be procured. The question is, with 2.6 trillion naira spent in 4 years, does it mean that funds were not enough to buy enough weapons? Thirdly, this Chief of Army Staff, talked about backloading damage and unserviceable equipment in the theater of instruction that they be repaired immediately. Does it mean that they were abandoned in the past? I will need answers to this, the journalist had added. Reacting to his removal from the army group, News Central TV said stands by Ahmadi Uyi in a series of tweets on its Twitter timeline on Friday. We also request, for the sake of its credibility, that the Nigerian Army address these questions raised by our correspondent, Ahmadi Uyi, who has conducted himself with the utmost professionalism since this went down. The station added. Sarah reporters on Thursday, March 18th, had exclusively reported that the immediate past service chiefs who held the military command under President Muhammadu Buhari for about 6 years spent more than 2.6 trillion naira on military arms and ammunition between 2015 and 2019. According to military records, Sahara reporters had revealed that the 2.6 trillion naira is outside the controversial $1 billion SS crude account fund, which Buhari approved in April 2018 despite public outcry. The 2.6 trillion naira for military arms was the total for 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018 and 19, and was shared among the immediate past Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, retired, the former Chief of Defense Staff, General Abayomi Olonisakin, retired, the former Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ibok Ete-Ibas, retired, and the former Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, retired. The breakdown had shown that in 2015, the military spent 397 billion naira on arms in 2016, 444 billion naira in 2017, and 495 billion naira in 2018, 645 billion naira in 2019, and 66 billion naira. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, a Sweden-based group that documents military transactions globally, Nigeria within these years had bought arms from at least 12 countries. Okay, when it comes to transparency and all of that, it's always difficult once you ask some kind of question where they feel uncomfortable, because if you are genuine, if you know what you are talking, somebody asks a question, it's just for you to reply if you don't have any skeleton in your cupboard. But once you begin to ask questions, they will know that this one is beginning to know too much. is beginning to ask questions too much, which they feel they feel offensive, or they feel themselves offensive when that happens. Why removing him from the WhatsApp group? He just asks questions. So before you know it now, they'll begin to give some kind of a whatever. And I'm sure it is just for them to have time to be able to know what they are going to say, because they couldn't answer the question almost immediately. Where EFCC arrested more than 400 young Nigerians for internet-related fraud from January to March 2021, whereas our leaders and the Chief of Armed Forces are there embezzling our money and enjoying it with their family, but ESS are blind to see them. Nigeria will soon catch fire. What I know is that majority of you would soon, die with whatever it's going to take. Whatever we do with honesty usually makes a positive outcome. Nigeria military is fast losing respect and dignity before Nigerians. Enemies don't fear them again like before. Gone were the days they would emerge victorious in both in and outside security assignments. They need to remove corruption and greed from the system if they want their old respect and victories to be restored. Who is talking about respect? We are talking about our lives and properties to be secured and safe. Nobody is talking about respect. Nobody who works or working under this present government will attract my respect. They should count themselves as bunch of failures, and we never refer them as former this or former that in government, because their time was code-named failure. This country can never work. Just imagine our money being carried away by bad governments day by day. NNPC, the Nigerian military, are the leading corrupt institutions in this country. Better they only remove him from the WhatsApp group. They have removed many others from the earth. It's better that instead of removing from the earth. Oh my goodness. Guilty conscience always fear accusations. In this present day government, virtually all those in the ends of affairs wouldn't want to be asked about anything they know they are guilty of. Just a simple harmless question and they flare up. That is how somebody was asked, who is bankrolling you? And it resulted to a big issue. Change indeed. The Nigerian army and some bad eggs in the government ate the money. Now we have been reaping what we already sow. That is why they lack the power and strength and always been defeated in battleground. Why ask men such questions in their zone? It got moral. Okay? Our government and the people governing us are comedians. Someone says they are really comedians.